We got a challenge going on in here! We got a challenge!
One of the most interesting people I have ever met in my life.
He co-founded Marquis Jet, the world's largest private jet card company.
He ends up selling that to Berkshire Hathaway, started a water company that sold to Coca-Cola. New York Times best-selling author of Living with a Seal.
Itzler lives a life in the fast lane, climbing Mount Washington and running a 100-mile race. That's 100.
Jesse's also a co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks. He's married to Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. This is the guy who travels with his own DJ and lives life with style and passion.
Right, so this is how it works. The sauna starts at 160 degrees. Every 5 minutes, it gets hotter and hotter until we reach a maximum temperature of 230 degrees, which is ripping hot. Additionally, throughout the podcast, there are 5 trivia questions that pertain to the guest. If the guest gets the question wrong, I put water on the rocks, which makes it exponentially more humid and hot in the sauna. If you make it the full 30 minutes, 230 degrees, you win the coveted Golden Ladle Award, which is the most sought after trophy in the entire world. Okay, PSA, before you watch this episode, you have to know something. We built the sauna the day before we filmed this. We accidentally had the wire switched on the temperature sensor, and the temperature is actually about 20 degrees warmer than it was reading out. So add 20 to all the temperatures you see. This was an absolute beast. It will go down as the most intense, hardest podcast we'll ever do because we'll never have the temperatures as high as they were. So just keep that in mind as you watch this and enjoy. So let's see who can beat the heat. Jesse Itzler, welcome to Beat the Heat. Let's see if you can beat the heat.
It's an honor to be here.
This is the inaugural session, first episode ever recorded.
I feel honored. It's an honor.
I feel like this is like the most fitting first guest because we've probably spent 90% of our relationship in the sauna.
Absolutely. You've been talking about this for a while, and you know, I'm glad that you picked me to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I feel like there's high expectations, so I don't want people to get discouraged before they come on.
What I love about this being patient one is just I honestly have no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
And it's hotter in here than I thought it would be out of the gate.
So this is a brand new sauna, and I think it's substantially hotter than it reads out. So yeah, we just tested it last night for the first time. So we're 160 right now.
Okay.
Okay, so spending time with you, one of the things I always wanted, it's just like fun to hear, but two, I've always admired is I feel like you just like make things happen. Like that's like your MO. It's like, it doesn't matter the situation, you just figure it out. And my favorite story is the one with the season tickets. So I was wondering if you could like roll through that because I feel like not many people actually know that story.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think a big part of being, and I consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm 55. I've been in business since I'm 21. So I've had a lot of experiences, and I think I try to make things happen. I try not to worry about like how I'm going to do it. I just like, this is what I want to do. And then I kind of figure out the how.
Yeah.
But anyway, the story you're referring to is, when I was in my mid-20s, I was living in New York City, and the business that I was in is I was writing theme songs for sports teams. And I took a meeting with the New York Yankees. I was sleeping on couches of my friends trying to figure out like how I was going to make it as an entrepreneur. And I took a meeting with the New York Yankees to try to sell them a theme song and a CD that I wanted to do for them that they could give away in the arena. And as I was leaving the meeting, the marketing director of the Yankees said, "Hey, I don't know. I was with my partner. I don't know if you know anyone, but we have 4 seats that are coming on sale tomorrow in the front row that were built out for the World Series, and there are 16 seats that were built on the third baseline. 4 went to Adidas, 4 went to the mayor's office, 4 went to another one of their big sponsors, and these 4 are left." And he's like, "They're special. They're built onto the dirt. I know you guys are Yankee fans." I said, "Well, how much are they?" And he's like, "They're $1,000 a ticket. So they're $4,000 a game." I said, "Well, how many home games are there?" There's 81 home games. So it's like 320. This is, in the 90s.
Yeah.
This is, $320,000 for the tickets. By the way, I'm already sweating.
Yeah.
I don't even want to look at the clock. Yeah, I'm already in like a full sweat. And so they were super expensive. And we got in the car, and my partner said, "Don't even think about it. I at the time probably had $14,000 in my bank account. Our business account probably had $30,000. And he said, don't even think about it. We get back to the office, and my partner left to go to a meeting, and I called the marketing director at the Yankees, and I'm like, we'll take them. And, I realized that they weren't even seats. They were like the best real estate in New York. And I would never have another chance to get these, and I can control them for the rest of my life. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make it work. So I called a friend of mine who was a big Yankee fan, and I made a no-lose offer for him. I said, look, put up the money with a high interest rate. We'll pay you back. If we don't, I'll transfer these over to your name. You'll have them for life. When he would never get the chance to get these tickets.
Yeah.
So he lent us the money, and the tickets ended up being an incredible asset for us. I took every customer, every supplier. I gave them away to people of influence, and I used those tickets. A year later, I was in the music business when we started Marquee Jet, which was a couple years later. I was in Jay-Z's studio, and I knew he was a Yankee fan, and I told him that we had these tickets. And he said, would you split them 50-50 with me? And I said, absolutely. I put out my hand. He put out his hand, and we split those seats for 10 years. And then he ended up going on tour for a world tour, and he hired Marquee Jet, my company, to do all the flights, and the tickets paid for themselves.
It's so sick. It's like the cool story. And I remember the first time I met you, you had your fantasy football draft.
Yeah.
And he was on the Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah. We became friendly after. And, look, I don't think people should go into debt, necessarily. But at that point in my journey, it was a calculated risk.
Yeah.
I knew that I could use those tickets to get more value than the cost of the tickets. And it ended up working out.
5 minutes is up, so we have the first trivia question.
Are we in 5 minutes in already?
Yeah, we're in. So if you get this wrong, water goes on the rocks.
Okay.
And if you get it right, we just continue, and the heat's going up. Okay, so.
Do the questions get harder as we go? Or?
They're kind of random.
Okay.
Okay, so, you're known for eating fruit till noon for 33 years?
Yes.
Right. So you only eat fruit up until noon. And usually like 4 bananas a day.
Yes.
Which I've witnessed. That's probably on the low side.
Yeah.
How many calories are in a banana?
100. I'm
going to give you the right answer. The listed is 105, but there is a 20% error margin. So yeah, I give it 100.
That's
wow.
pretty good.
I'm shocked. I actually thought you were going to get that right.
I love it.
I feel like you're the least into calories and all that stuff.
I don't know anything about calories. I'm not a dietitian, but I eat so many bananas that so many people have sent me information that I knew like the average banana is about 100 calories.
I mean, you ripped that off in like 2 seconds.
I love it. I don't know where you were going with that either. I was like, if he's going to start asking me about like what are the benefits or whatever, I'm in a lot of trouble. That was a good question. So I passed the first test.
You passed, yeah. So no water went on the rocks.
So for anyone listening, I just want to give everybody a quick update. We're in a sauna. It's a small sauna, so there's not a lot of like oxygen in here flowing around.
Yep.
It's hot. If you were to ask me right now what I thought the temperature was, I would say like 185.
Yeah,
that's what it
what
feels like to me.
Well, yeah, I think it might be
185,
definitely.
And I usually takes me about 12 minutes to break a sweat.
We're sweating.
I am sweating.
What's your technique there? Like, so we each have one thing of water, 32 ounces.
Yeah.
And like, you have a strategy. As of right now, we're early on.
I'm gonna try to hold out to about 15 minutes,
and then
I'm reward driven. So I feel like if I can get halfway there and then reward myself with a sip, and we can use the water however we want. We can drink it or pour it on our head or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah, this is an insanely genius concept. No, like Todd and I, we've been talking about this for a long time. About like how many people could go 30 minutes in a regular 175 to 185 degree sauna would be like a legit session. Legit.
Yeah. Anything over 20, I feel like that is even in a sauna is hard.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I've been thinking about this for 14 days when we set the date. I've trained for this. And I was nervous. I woke up with butterflies and I felt, when we walked in here, like I was going into an MMA fight.
I feel the same way. I mean, but the thing is, I will say, we've shared some hellacious
epic
sauna sessions. So it's like, we've been in worse spots, but never with a timer where it was like, everyone's going to see.
We've also, there was a lot of conversation that went into this. Like, should we go in the cold water first?
Yeah.
Should we, how much water you drink? Should we take electrolytes? All these things. It wasn't like I didn't come in here and just walk in here to do a podcast. I walked in here like I'm in survival mode, like I'm Gilligan.
Yeah, it was like a strategy session.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through it all. We'll actually go for question number 2. Obviously, you were a rapper growing up, coming up. Jesse James, right?
Yeah.
And which I've seen shine through a couple times, and it's come out a little bit. And what was the highest spot on the billboard that Shake It Like a White Girl reached?
That is such a good question. I'm not sure if it was 73 or 68. I'm going to go with, it was only on my single was called Shake It Like a White Girl. I was 22.
Yep.
You're smiling. Are you giving me any kind of...
No, I mean, I just laugh because like when I first met you and then I found out like the name of the song is like, just makes me laugh.
I haven't thought about this in 34 years.
She was wiggling, giggling, shaking, giggling, moving, grooving, dancing, mingling. I said, how you doing? By any chance, can I have the honor of the next dance? She said,
I think it was only on the charts for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm going to say that it peaked at 72.
74. All right, so you can lift this if you want to do it, and I'll let you do the honors, but you're gonna do the water. All right. Okay, throw it on there.
Damn, I was close.
I was super close.
Wasn't there a 20% margin for error?
Nah, Billboard's pretty lock solid. I'm gonna ask easier questions.
God damn, man.
All right, so
Can you ask me my mother's maiden name?
I feel like you like endurance and hard stuff is like your thing. The Misogi.
Here we go.
I've done a few with you.
Here we go.
What's been the hardest singular event you've done? But like, what specific moment within that were you like down and out?
All right, do you care if I don't look at you when I answer
fine.
this? I'm
I mean,
going head down.
go
Just
whatever
now.
you gotta do.
Just
Lock it in.
starting to feel it. First of all, I should never say I'm starting to feel it because part of my strategy coming in here was to just absolutely enjoy this, which I am, and not let the heat affect me. So I take that back. My hardest moment actually wasn't, I know you want me to answer like Ultraman or running 100 or something physical. The hardest thing I ever did in my life and the biggest moment in my life was getting a record deal. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because at 21, I was making demos and trying to shop my demo to record companies. And back then, the way to shop it was to knock on a door and get a meeting.
Yeah.
I had no connections. I didn't have a hotshot lawyer. My dad owned the plumbing supply house. And I took off on Fridays from school at college, American University. I didn't have classes on Friday. I took a Greyhound bus to New York. And I would sit in offices. That was my day to kind of like try to break into offices.
Yeah.
I would sit in the lobby and hand out my demo with my dorm room phone number, literally scotch taped to these cassettes. And I got rejected. I went to open mic nights, to clubs, talking to managers. Like it was just a year or two of rejection. And then I finally was able to get a meeting at this company called Delicious Vinyl, who had 2 artists that were really big on the label. Tone Loc, who won a Grammy for Wild Thing. I love this label. I cold called the owner. I knew he was a fan of this rapper, Dana Dane. I basically told him I was Dana Dane and got a meeting. He thought he was meeting Dana. And I got a record deal. And I just remember like that being pivotal for me because I was like, if I could get a record deal with no help, no lawyer, no like backdooring my way in, no favors. Like I literally did this on my own through like grit, persistence. I can do anything. And as a young kid or even as an adult, man, when you can reinforce to yourself that like, I'm all I need, like I can get this done, that's a lesson. So all these races that you mentioned or we talked about, like that happened after that are a byproduct of me being like, man, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
It goes back to like, there's a theme now developing in this podcast. It goes back to like, don't worry about the how, like if you want it bad enough, you're going to figure out how to get it done.
Yeah. But I think people a lot of times think of it the opposite direction. It's like all they do is worry about the how. And I feel like they're seeing how you operate and have done things. Like I've definitely jumped into things faster because nobody knows how. Right. It's like, I think
It's true.
I think everyone looks around and look at people that are successful and they're like, oh, but I don't have this, that, or the other thing. Well, they didn't either before they started and just figured it out.
Right.
There's no way to learn that and skip the process.
It's hot in here.
It's getting hot. definitely. Where you feel? How do you feel? Like heat? Like,
I'm just sweating like so much. Like look at the puddle underneath my foot.
yeah, it's aggressive. I'm too. Yeah.
I have made it a point not to look at the clock yet. So far, so good. So far, so good.
No joke. Downward slide here now. You wrote the book Living with the Seal, where David Goggins came into
There we go.
lived with you for 30 minutes. Or 30 days.
Yeah.
This feels like 30 minutes is 30 days. But Goggins lived with you for 30 days. And bestseller. Book was awesome. One of the funnest reads. I actually read that before I met you, ironically.
Love it.
But how many pages did the book have?
Oh my God. And it's 70.
I'll give you a bumpers. It was between 200 and 300 pages.
Yeah, thank you, Todd.
Yeah, let's tighten it up.
I know it was 75,000 words. Shit. Oh my God. There's no way I'm gonna get this right.
I'm also in the beginning, I wrote these kind of wanting you not to get them right.
Yeah,
and
that's
rooting for you because I don't want you to put the water on.
I'm gonna say 255 pages.
262. That is close.
That's fucking good.
That's good. Wow.
Yeah, maybe half a thing of water or the full
small ladle.
Touch. That's within 10%.
That's great. Yeah. It's not bananas and calories, but we can.
I'll do a full one. I'll do a full one, Todd.
All in. Woo! How many hours do you think you spent in the sauna? That's got to be
Career.
When did you start? So speaking of the sauna, I feel like.
Oh
man. So speaking of the sauna, I feel like you were an early adopter. You were before there was any studies, before there was any information, before there was anything out there. When did
we got a challenge going on in here? We got a challenge.
When did that pick up steam, and how did you get started doing the sauna?
So, it's so funny. I just had a family reunion, and my great grandfather came here from Russia, and I asked one of the older guys at the reunion, what was my great grandfather like? What did he like to do? And he said he'd love to go to the Russian bathhouse. So it's been in my DNA.
Lower East Side?
Lower East Side in New York. Yeah, Brooklyn, okay. East New York. I started religiously being into really the steam room first. I was a big steam room guy when I was right out of college. So I was probably 23, 24. I joined a club in New York called the Town Club that had a sauna and a cold plunge and a steam room. And it was for guys in their 80s, but they ran a discount because they wanted younger members. So younger members could pay $10 a month.
It's like Soho House now.
Yeah. And I got super into it at an early age.
And what did you just like the feeling of it?
Yeah, there was no science behind it. It was just, I love the way it made me feel. And nothing for me has changed. I know there's a lot of science on it. If people ask me to explain the science behind a sauna, I would just be ask Todd. I don't know, but I just know it makes me feel good.
I first met you, and I was trying to tell you all. That's right when all the Alzheimer's stuff came out. How much it helps, and I would try to tell you stuff, and you would just blank out. Yeah. But you just love the feel. I'm the same way.
Battle.
So from that point, all right. So you did steam, and then you were hooked from the get-go? I feel like you made an evolution though to sauna more than steam.
Yeah. It was a gradual evolution. They're different, very different experiences. And I just felt like you got a better sweat with the sauna. And I gravitated towards getting the pure. I'm a purist, and so I just wanted to here we can see the puddle on the ground. I can feel all the sweat. You don't get that in a steam necessarily. Yeah. So I made the switch probably around 1998 to 2002. I started to really go hard. I built up my first sauna in 98 when I bought this little log cabin. So I've been in it for a while. So I'm honored.
You're an OG.
That I was chosen to be. And by the way, doesn't make it easier. Does not make it easier.
I feel like it's kind of like running in the sense of if you're just consistent, you do the same amount at the same time, it's equally as hard every single time.
Totally.
So we'll start the next question. So you were founder of Marquis Jet, which was awesome. I remember back in the day. And the reason I remember it, not because I was flying on any, but because the show Entourage, which is one of my favorite shows. Your friend Mike Young was a writer. You had a lot of involvement. And it's a two-part question. If you get one of them, you gotta get both of them right for it to count. Who made a cameo, and what season was the episode in where a Marquis Jet made an appearance?
So we had a couple. So, but I would say the most popular was LeBron and Matt Damon.
Yeah. And what season was that?
Season 2 or 3, I would say. I would say 2.
Season 6.
What?
And LeBron was the big cameo.
God
and
damn.
Matt Damon.
All right.
All right, you're up.
You can do the honors, Todd.
All right. All right, rocking and rolling. Woo! We just did rim to rim to rim, right? And so that was 45 miles in the Grand Canyon. There was a bunch of us. I was definitely in the worst place. Like, I was hurting. So halfway point, I was basically on my back. Like, I don't think I can get up. Like, this isn't going to work.
Right.
Like, thinking helicopter, whatever it's going to be. You seemed pretty bad, but not quite as bad as me. How bad were you? Like walk me through your thought process.
Yeah, so getting across the Grand Canyon was 22 miles, and it took us 9 hours. And when we got there, I don't want to use you as a chip, but I knew you were worse than me.
Yeah.
I hate to say this. I didn't want that to be the case, but it gave me a little bit of hope.
I mean...
No, because I was like,
if
Todd's turning around.
I would have felt the same way.
It's hot in here, man.
It's hot.
If Todd's turning around, I'm turning around too. Then I can do it. I also have a lot of experience in endurance events, so I knew that if I kept going forward and chipping away, there's a chance that I could feel better down the road. So
and how close to considerations, like when you were like halfway, did you like really think about? Like,
hold on, Todd.
I knew this would happen.
Comes my first spill.
You go electrolytes or no?
No.
I have electrolytes. I don't even care. Roasting.
Ripping in here, man.
All right.
What's the question?
How close were you actually stopping? Like how much? Like what were you considering? Like I was literally considering where's the helipad? Like how much would it cost? All that shit. Where were you at as far as quitting halfway?
Oh, I would have paid for it. If you would have had it and it just required a credit card, I would have paid anything. I was ready to go. I felt like I got everything out of it on the way.
Yep.
I didn't feel like I needed more on the way back. Did you pour on top of you?
Mm-hmm. Probably a mistake.
I don't know.
Getting pretty bad.
What are we at? Let's go silent, Todd, till we get to 23.
All right.
Take 15 seconds and just regroup.
Pretty hot.
How do you feel?
Outstanding.
Yeah, it's up in here, man.
It's no joke. So let's talk about sheets. If you were to go back and change one thing, like what would it be? Like one singular thing.
So Sheets was a product that we had that were oral dissolvable strips, and they had caffeine in them, so they were super bitter. And they worked like a Red Bull meets a Listerine strip.
Yep. I remember trying them.
I would have spent more time doing market research than going. We went into 40,000 stores out of the gate.
Yep.
And you never want to use You never want to use the stores as your R&D department. So I would have spent more time getting the flavor right, the taste profile right, interviewing people on the packaging before rushing to get into it.
Yep.
And I would have started a lot smaller.
It's hard to talk. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? I knew this was going to happen. We talked about it before. It's like you get to a point and it's like game over.
Yeah. It's legit, man.
It's so legit.
Lips are burning.
Talk.
How much water did you just use on the pour?
We got about a quarter left.
I just got to take my heart rate down there.
Oh, right. That's tough. All right, so you started 29. It's called Everesting. And basically you climb the height of Mount Everest, which is 29 feet. What country is Mount Everest in?
China.
Nepal.
That's a country?
Yeah.
Oh, country, not continent?
Yep.
Fuck you, Todd.
Also, China is not a continent. So.
It should be.
All right, here we go. Fill her up. Last one. Rock and roll. This is pretty bad.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's bad.
I need a sec.
I think I might get out.
For real?
I think I'm going to go down.
For real?
I don't know. My hands are fire. The camera went down too.
I gotta go to 2 minutes before I talk.
I'm gonna go down.
Go down a step?
Yeah. I'll be too close. Silence. Yeah, I can't do it, bro. So dizzy.
My friends, and we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.
We're gonna have a hard time, man. Probably you're about to do 150 of these. Yeah, I figured. Sounds good.
1 hour later.
First ever inaugural.
What an honor!
Jesse, who do you want to see next beat the Heat?
I'd like to see the Heat beat Joe Rogan. I'd like to see Tony Robbins beat the Heat. I'd like to see Logan Paul beat the Heat. I'd like to see Jake Paul beat the Heat. It's hard, man. I felt way hotter than 160. I haven't sweat like that early in the sauna. Like, I said, fuck, like 5 minutes in, I'm like, look at my feet. Look at the puddle on my head.
Yes, I am hopeful for today. Take this music, let it take you away. And be hopeful, and he'll make a way. I know it ain't easy, but that's okay.
Before we get started, I just want everyone to know I flew in a little bit early today. A friend of mine is launching a new podcast called, here in Nashville, Todd Anderson. He owns a company called Dream Recovery, which is mouth tape that you put on before you go to sleep, which is incredible. And he has a new podcast called Beat the Heat, where you go in a sauna at 230 degrees, and he asks you questions for 30 minutes, and if you last the 30 minutes, you beat the heat. I was the first guest on the podcast, and man, it was tough. So I made it, Todd didn't, and here I am. So it's an honor to be here. If I start sweating, it's because I just did this podcast.